As the Celtics attempt to continue their streak in the series against the 76ers and the Clippers try to regain control of their series against the Mavericks, join me as I show you the optimized Fanduel After Hours lineup for this Friday, August 21st. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and by using thousands of lines of code, a litany of equations, and raw data, I'll be able to give you the locks that you need to succeed for tonight's game. Starting off as per usual with the lock of the week, the lock for these games is Marcus Morris. Morris has been a key player in LA's lineup for this series, playing over half an hour in each game so far. He's been productive during that time as well, scoring over 30 fantasy points per game. Not only is Morris an essential player for the Clippers lineup, but he's also an extremely cheap option given his true value, clocking in at around $5,100. In fact, after running every player offered in this slate through my programs, I found that Morris was actually a more valuable choice than Porzingis, meaning that Morris should have more fantasy points per dollar than Porzingis. Speaking of whom, once again, Porzingis is out of my lineup. His expected value, given his price, is disproportionate, and there are far better options at the higher price range. Those better options are also players I found in the lineup last week, including Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. Doncic, Leonard, and Embiid I would consider absolutely necessary for success in this slate, as there's nobody else at those positions who even come close to scoring as many fantasy points. Simply put, they are irreplaceable. As for Brown, with Gordon Hayward out of the picture for the next month, Brown is the only available small forward for the Celtics, so look for him to have an increase in minutes as well. Unfortunately though, given the tight budget constrictions, I had to omit Jayson Tatum from this week's lineup, who certainly appears to be an attractive option for power forward. However, if you look at the power forward position and try to find possible replacements for Tatum compared to possible replacements for any other superstar's position, Tatum's replacements have the least drop-off compared to anyone else. In order to make this idea clearer, let's take another look at Morris, an alternative to Tatum, and compare him with Paul George, an alternative for Doncic. If Doncic was to be left out of the lineup, the next best option at shooting guard would be George, and even just glancing at these numbers shows the stark differences between the best and second best at the position. Doncic scored over 60 fantasy points in his first game, and even on limited minutes due to copious fouls, scored nearly 50 in his second. George, on the other hand, scored almost half in each game with full minutes. In addition, you're only saving around $2,500 with George, which is certainly a good chunk of cash, but not enough to sacrifice Doncic's kind of numbers. Shifting our attention to power forwards now, if you look at Tatum's stats for the series, it's undeniable that he's a great player. Compared to Morris though, an alternative who is about $4,000 cheaper, which is a massive difference, Morris has scored an average of about 35 fantasy points in the series. Sure, it's certainly less fantasy points than Tatum's to take Morris, but it's saving so much money to position where there are other choices, like Maxi Kleber, who's going to be the other power forward for this lineup. Kleber has been playing significantly more time than usual during the series, with over a half hour in each game, and will likely continue this trend with Game 3. And with minutes naturally come fantasy points, so he's another solid replacement for Tatum at the power forward position, especially for only $4,000. Your next shooting guard will be the man who prioritizes some Magic City wings over his career, Lou Williams. Williams is another player who gets so much playtime that it's almost guaranteed that he will score enough points to warrant his price, especially at a relatively lower cost of $5,600. He's played for 31 minutes in each game so far in the series and scored an average of 31 fantasy points in each, and will likely perform similarly tonight. Finally, for the 2 point guards, my model recommends Shake Milton and Trey Burke. At this point, my model's just trying to figure out a lineup that would work with the rest of the overpriced cast of players, and these are the 2 best available. Milton has shown his value in the series so far, scoring 15 fantasy points in the first game and 23 in the second, and will likely score around 20 fantasy points again tonight as the 76ers try to mount a comeback against the Celtics. Burke is another good choice because he's been able to fly under LA's radar during their series and was able to put up 16 game points and 30 fantasy points against them in Game 2, even with less minutes than usual. He will likely see more minutes tonight too, meaning more points. And there it is, the final lineup for FanDuel's after-hour slate of games on Friday, August 21st. I'll be pumping out more lineups throughout the series and the rest of the NBA playoffs, so subscribe and stay tuned for more to come in a few days. Again, this has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.